To get started with the blues, we're going to go over like the simplest concept in blues and really in all of jazz, and that's call and response. Now we hear that term a lot, it gets used a lot, but really it was born in the blues form, right? We mentioned Robert Johnson. He's going to play his little thing, he's going to sing, and then there's a little space left over and he's going to fill it with the guitar. So his call is the lyrics, and then he's going to respond on the guitar. That's tried and true blues methodology right there. So that exists not only when soloists are playing, a lot of great blues soloists will leave that space for the band to answer. It actually also exists in different ways in how blues tunes in jazz are written. So let's check out Charlie Parker's Cool Blues. It's going to be 3 phrases. They're actually the exact same melody phrases. But what you'll notice is he's going to play the melody, and then there's going to be 2 bars of empty space, which is where if Robert Johnson was singing, he'd play a little lick on the guitar. That's our job to respond in that gap. Here's a different blues. This is John Coltrane's Mr. PC, written for Paul Chambers. This is a minor blues, and what John did is he wrote the AAB call and also the response. So in this case, the response is dee do det. When you listen to that melody, you're going to hear all 3 phrases end or responded with that little phrase. There's an A melody, then that A melody is repeated up a 4th, and then the B melody comes in the 9th bar. So that call and response is actually written into the melody of the tune. Let's check that out. So when you play a blues, you should be listening for the chance to do call and response. Whether it's in the melody or it's in the person's solo, that's one of the things that as drummers we should be listening for, those chances to respond. So when we talk about these 3 phrases that make up a blues, each of these phrases presents a different resolution point, and those resolution points are crucial in how drummers can communicate with the other members of the band, in particular the soloist. They are looking to play something and then find a resolution point where the harmony resolves or the harmony changes. They're often going to aim for those spots. If we know where those are in a tune or in a form, then we can meet the soloist there. That makes a huge difference. And every one of these song forms kind of has their own resolution points built in. Now, they may not always be in the exact same place. Some might be missing. There might be added other ones. But in general, we at least have a framework to deal with, so we're listening to see if those resolution points are there. So let's check out the 3 resolution points that exist in a blues form. The first and most obvious is the top, right? So every 12 bars right at the top. That's the 1 chord, that's right where the chorus starts over. That is the most obvious place to resolve. As a matter of fact, all of us, or most of us, probably do that commonly without even really thinking about it. So the soloist is wrapping up their phrase, they're going to start a new chorus, boom, we kind of meet them at the top. So let's quickly check out what that's like. Now another resolution point is at the start of this second phrase, which in a blues is in the 5th bar. This is the second A phrase. So when we get to that phrase, the harmony changes. We've gone from starting on the 1 chord to moving up to the 4 chord. So that harmonic change is a place where soloists will often aim for, right? So, or, the piano player might comp and aim for that spot so we can meet them at the 4 chord, which is in the 5th bar, or at the start of the second phrase. Hopefully you can see how all these different things line up. A new phrase or the end of an old phrase, the harmony changes. These are all things that the other members of the band have to deal with every single chorus. We should know what those are so we can communicate with them. Finally, we can resolve to the third phrase, which starts in the ninth bar of a blues. Now that harmonically also has a shift. It's another 4 bars. It's a new melody, at least in terms of the actual melody of the tune, regardless of what the soloist is playing. And it's also our other harmonic shift. Now we're going to go into some sort of harmonic cadence. In old, like super duper old school blues, right there at the ninth bar was like the 5 chord, the big setup chord. Then it was kind of expanded to be the 5 chord into the 4 chord, and then other people flipped it around and would do the 4 chord or the 5 chord. Often in jazz, it's the 2 chord, which then goes to the 5 chord. So I'm going to refer to it as the 2 chord, since that's most often what it is now. In a minor key, that'd be the flat 6. But again, that doesn't necessarily matter for us. What matters for us is to be able to hear that harmonically we've moved to somewhere else. And that's important because every one of the other members of the band have to respond to that. We don't want to be oblivious to that, because that's another spot where the soloist can meet or can resolve their phrase, and we can meet them there. So let's check out what it sounds like to resolve to the third phrase, the B phrase, or the ninth bar where we go to the 2 chord. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little window into other ways that we can play the blues and where we can communicate a little bit more deeply with the other members of the band, start speaking their language without having to know anything about what notes they're actually playing. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of homework. You didn't ask for homework, but I'm gonna give you some. Make a blues playlist of all sorts of blues. It could be a lot of jazz blues, but also put some regular blues in there, and start listening for these harmonic movements, these AAB phrases, and then start listening to soloists and bands and see how often the soloist responds in one of those spots. See how often the pianist and the drummer and the bass player, how often they respond in one of those spots. I think what you're going to find is to play chorus after chorus after chorus after chorus of a blues can get real monotonous if we keep just writing at the top of every single chorus, right? We want to find these other things, because then every chorus, it's like we have a new chapter of the book and nobody in the band is really 100% sure where we're going to like resolve or have the punchline. So everybody's kind of more up on their toes. And if they know that the drummer's listening and can do all that stuff too, man, it really just heightens the whole experience, not only for the band, but also for the audience. So check out some blueses, and hopefully this idea of breaking down the song forms will help you guys in the future. Okay, good luck.